back to your childhood, those moments of joy, discovery, and belonging. Now imagine that experience being different, that the world feels overwhelming, confusing, even hostile at times. That's the reality for many children on the autism spectrum. What if we embrace those differences as pathways to new possibilities? Welcome to the Ananya Child Development Center podcast. I'm Madhavi Adimulam, your host, and today we are embarking on a journey of transformation. Joining me is Dr. Pooja Jha Nair, founder of Total Solutions Rehabilitation Society (TSRS) here in Hyderabad, whose work is changing lives one child, one family at a time. Dr. Pooja, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
It's a pleasure to have you, Dr. Pooja. So, Dr. Pooja, how did you start Total Solutions? What is your journey?
The best answer would be that I never planned for it. I always really had a soft corner for children. And when I was just before, even my graduation, used to give tuitions to, some children to earn my pocket money in Delhi. I used to feel that, okay, they can learn with a very little effort. But then what about those children who are not able to learn with multiple efforts, which parents they make or in the school teachers are making? Trust me, I had no clue about disability or autism or any such thing. It so happened that when I finished my post graduation in applied psychology from Delhi University, I got interested in early cognitive stimulation for the age group of 0 to 6. That gave me an idea that if I can do something on the preventive mode, it can really give me the best result. Finally, I ended up doing actually DSc MR, which is Diploma in Special Education from Delhi. So I finished that. It gave me a lot of idea that, what exactly disability can mean and what an agony sometimes a parent go through when they do not know about things exactly. I actually got married to one of my own classmates, and he's also a rehabilitation psychologist. We finished this course from NIMH, and we two together, we thought that we need to do something little different in the sector where we can equip parents directly. So that's the whole seed which emerged, and we started helping. We really had a very small setup in Boinpalli, and me and Ragesh only we used to work over there, and we were working only in the capacity of psychologist and a special educator because I have done that program. Later I came to know that there are so many other things also. So it has been a very beautiful journey. No matter what struggle happened on the way, I always got the good results because parents were happy. They could leave us happily and did all the good things for their own children.
I think in Hyderabad, when you started, there were hardly any centers which focused on purely LD type of special education, isn't it?
You are right. So we were the pioneer for LD because it's true that that was my main motto. I wanted to help only school going children who are having dyslexia or any other learning disability.
So, Dr. Pooja, you have spoken about your own journey, about overcoming challenges from a young age, about facing societal expectation that didn't quite fit who you were. Tell us about those early experiences. How did they shape your passion for helping others, especially those who are often marginalized or misunderstood?
I would beg to differ over here. Trust me, I never faced any kind of difficulty from the society perspective. They were very open to accept the ideas what I had because I was telling them if you have a child who is having learning disability, you cannot work on their spellings directly. You can't give me any long lasting effect by working on teaching me directly. Work on my cognition, make me independent so that I can not only read but also understand that. So they were very welcoming about all these ideas. I struggled a lot in terms of, having poor infrastructure. So you can imagine that, when we are trying to keep our fees very low or trying to help them out, with the services what we want to. So nobody comes free, salaries and all were always very high. So I did struggle, but was never demotivated because somehow from one or the other place, funds used to come and we were able to survive beautifully. I do believe in karma theory a lot. So I was like, okay, honestly, let me do the job. Maybe whatever has to happen for that resources would be accumulated.
That's such an inspiring story, Dr. Pooja. It speaks to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of using own experiences to create positive change. You have created TSRS with a unique vision of holistic rehabilitation. Can you tell us more about what that means to you?
It's everything to me. It's my second family. I'm very selfish for my own family, no doubt about that, but definitely it's like a second family. So Total Solution Rehab Society has come to an existence hardly about 3 years before. We were only Total Solution, and it was on the model of simple partnership. So it so happened, Madhvi ma'am, that let's say a parent who has got very motivated by working with me, I further motivated them that go ahead and study, and that too from a regular college, so that you can also get the proper license what is required. So in my team we are actually four, and these four are all parents. They have helped their own kids, and I'm very proud to say that they all are central government certified psychologists also. They did MPhil from NIMH. And when we all seven, these four professionals and other three admin people, we all got together, then I one day shared with them, I no more want to work as partners, because if we are partner, we still might look for our own benefits. I want to look for something at a larger scale. So how many of you want to join me in that? I was very emotional on that day because they all said, whatever you decide. And we came up with the idea of developing the whole society around the same theme. So we made this Total Solution Rehabilitation Society. We are no more on partnership model, no profit. We all withdraw some kind of salary through it. And we are trying to support as many as possible. So under this particular one name, we are now 9 different centers in Twin Cities, and we are running 2 special schools only for those children who are not able to cope up with the regular school. So the holistic word as a tagline we have come up because we are doing multidisciplinary setup. And in that, we definitely try to work more on the family side also. So I believe in the triangle model where the school is very important for us, where the child is going, then the family, and then the rehabilitation center. We try to rehabilitate all the three. So we make lot of personal visits to the home. We visit their schools. We try to equip the teachers that what they can provide as help to this child with the special needs. Same way in the family also, we do lot of family counseling, so that whatever struggle they are going through, they can actually solve them on their own with whatever support they need from our side. So this holistic is not only from the child's perspective. This is manage their environment. That is definitely going to facilitate the whole process of rehabilitation.
Many traditional therapy models focus on addressing specific symptoms or skill deficits. Okay. How does a holistic approach differ, and why is it so important for children with autism?
Okay, so you use the word autism. I just want to add one thing over here, that autism is not something very pioneer work of mine. I got into autism only from 2015. I was not trained specifically for that, but yes, we all could feel that with the increasing prevalence rate and incidence rate, there was a need of doing something very systematic in that. Over there, my holistic is little different because we always start with the child only with the simple pairing method, which is a play therapy. And then we take the child on very simple methods of teach. And then we move on to the real ABA, what is actually required. So what did I study for it? I jumped into BCBA, which is Board Certified Behavior Analyst course. I wanted to know that how do they do it differently if they are doing something which they claim is research based. When you say about traditional approaches, the trouble is therapist is preparing a child to listen, to respond, but they are not preparing the child to get accommodated into this society. We work on theory of mind. We try to prepare a child how to use this mind, which is the human software, and enable the self for going out, talking to others, staying in a conversation, how to take the ideas from the teacher's body language and the peer group's body language to understand what's going on and how they have to actually respond and behave over there. So this method has helped a lot many children, especially those who were at the borderline. I can say that they are almost near normal. They're doing pretty good. It's not about the scores on any standardized test. It's about how they are living their life. They have friends, they go for night outs, they are having pajama parties, and they play together, they hang out. In fact, even the class teacher is also saying that we didn't know until you came and tried to orient us that this child is having any difficulty.
Dr. Pooja, that makes perfect sense. When we address the whole child, their strengths, their challenges, their environment, their support system, we can create such a wonderful and lasting impact. And that brings us to the crucial role of families. Your organization places a strong emphasis on empowering families. Why is that so important, and how does Total Solutions provide tangible support to families beyond the child's individual therapy?
You are absolutely right. Very important. And without family, I don't think we can achieve any aspect about autism rehabilitation. The immediate environment is family. Without that, rehabilitation, I don't think my child would be able to find a place where he can first socialize. So, what do we do differently? First thing, we never do our assessments in the clinical setup. We do all our autism assessment or their developmental assessment only through the home visit. So, in this first home visit, we request, would it be possible that all the adults are available, whoever is at home? Sometimes, yes, it's a little tedious because they want to take away our Sundays, but I think me and my team, we are ready to sacrifice it sometimes. So this first meeting gives them an idea that what is developmental age and where exactly the child is lagging. Because in my experience, when we ask parent in the clinic these questions, then they can say that my child is independent in brushing. But when we went home and checked, the child is not independent, he is doing it with the mother's help. This first home visit opens the door for the whole idea of creating an insight among all the adults in family that what exactly is going on. After that, we don't make any home visit until 1 month of therapy is over. Then we start asking the parent, okay, now tell your challenges. And my question in review is very simple, that dear mama, do you feel that now it's easy for you to manage this kid at home? This one question answers so many aspects, because a mother may say, he doesn't listen to me, he doesn't follow my instructions, he is cranky all the time, or I cannot take him outside because he is very troublesome. When we are working on all these aspects, then we can actually inform them about what are the strategies, which behavioral techniques they can use at home. Third, and the most important thing, we keep our parents in the therapy session. It was quite a rebellious thing from my side, because therapists, they felt that, when the parent is sitting, she doesn't allow me to do my work. Or therapist also said that, oh my God, they ask me all questions which are not at all relevant about the therapy. So I guided my therapist, first of all, that understand it's a curious mother and you are not taking away or wasting actually the therapy time. Imagine a trained mother, an insightful mother is going to do much better at home in terms of the follow up. This one thing of making a mom or dad sit in the therapy session taught them the methodology, because targets everyone was talking about, but how to achieve that target, why a child is sitting so quietly in front of the therapist, why can't I make him listen to me as mom, was a major difference. So last 10 minutes after about 3 months of training, we asked the mother that you do the therapy in front of us. That gave us a clarity whether the mother has learnt it in a proper way or not. If not, then we again supervise, we guide them. Still some challenges can be left, like few kids, they may not respond to mom at home. The last weapon from our side is that we request the therapist that do 2 transition sessions at home. So they actually go to their home and do exactly the same thing what they were doing actually over here. that gave the child a clear cut idea for transfer of learning. It helped a lot. But it's not that, this method is foolproof and we are not facing any challenges from the family side. That's not the truth. We still have, but maybe not so much how a parent comes at the, beginning level.
True. Parents, actually, being a mom myself, when I learned how to help my child, it was definitely more important. And parent education, parent training plays a huge role in how well the child will progress in the journey of special needs. I totally agree. And that brings us to the broader vision of inclusion you've talked about. You've said that your dream is to see every individual fully integrated into their community. What are the biggest obstacles to achieve that vision, and what steps are you taking care to create a more inclusive society for children with developmental delays?
A big paradoxical question for me. And the answer may also sound very funny to you, though I really believe in parents a lot. But trust me, the first obstacle is the parent of a child with a special need. The very first question what they raise on inclusion makes me feel so surprised that you are a one who is going through so many difficulties, but you do not want your child to come for any group therapy because you see there are other kids who may show some or the other problem behavior. Your fear that my child would pick up is definitely stopping this child from the group exposure. I am actually trying my level best to conduct lot of free panel discussions online. I'm trying to call, lot of professionals or my own people, those who are working with me. I am enabling them that you ask your doubts and let's come up with research based proper systematic answers, whether it's your myth or it's the reality. Even if a child, for example, picks up a difficult behavior, then how the child can actually benefit more. So it's like, if I pick up one difficult behavior but 10 good behaviors in the group, of course I'm going to choose for the group, not for one to one. So for inclusion, I still feel, Madhvi ma'am, it's a big dream and I really don't know how to sleep for that dream. Because when you talk about a school, yes, they are giving admissions, they are really trying to help us out, but at what cost? At the cost of a shadow teacher? Again, the parent is going through a lot. They pay the regular fee, they have to take care of the shadow teacher's fee. If the child is going for therapy, then that fee also is on their head. A parent who is investing so much without an insight, what are they going to get out of it? So lot of work is required. I am still quite immature, for working for such a big cause. We all have to get together and create the awareness in the right way.
Totally. Inclusion is a very, very difficult target to achieve because of the current situation in India education system. Well, I think parents are now more open to disclose their child's disability in schools. Earlier, even that was not there. The school would figure it out and reach out to people like us, remember from 20 years ago. But now parents themselves go and tell in the school that my child has some special needs, I need some help and things like that. That's a huge step for parents in India. I think we are getting there, maybe not in our lifetime. It'll happen in the
You're
next
right,
lifetime.
you're right. That's a very
Yes.
optimistic view of looking at it, but I shared openly what I'm feeling about it.
It is a challenge because every school nowadays we receive calls from schools asking for, do you have any trained shadow teachers? Because now we have 5 kids and we're looking for 5 shadow teachers for these 5 kids. So we don't really have people sitting here waiting to go to schools and provide shadow teaching for these kids. And another huge lacuna that I see in India is we don't have any proper shadow teacher training course which is given by government or RCI. Randomly people are doing courses. So recently we just designed a shadow teacher course. It's all virtual. It's a 3-month course. I've partnered with Dr. Andrew Nelson from Autism Speaks. He has his own company and we both designed the course, and shadow teachers can specialize in autism, ADHD, LD or ID. So we have created modules specializing in these areas. A teacher who is supporting LD kids cannot support ASD kids because they don't learn the same way. They need to understand the intricacies of these special needs, at least introduction to these. If they are interested, of course, they can pursue more and build their knowledge about it. But I thought this basic course should be given to them. Our children deserve that.
Definitely, that would be great.
Yes, and especially now the incidence rates of ASDN have increased so much. Earlier, it used to be very less. 20 years ago, we had very few children. But now you see every class has at least a kid or two with ASD or other special needs. It's clear that creating a truly inclusive society requires both individual empowerment and systemic change. I know that Total Solutions is also actively involved in research, which is another crucial piece of the puzzle. How does your research directly benefit the children and families you serve, and how can parents contribute to advancing knowledge in the field?
So we started our research wing in 2018, and the whole intention was that whatever we are doing, we feel that there is a good result, but really objectively, is it giving good result or not? So our first two research papers were on treatment module and also how to develop the protocol as a baseline before we actually plan any kind of management or IEPs or individual behavior planning for a child. So we started with that purpose. Parents are actively participating in that now. Like, for example, our next project is on mother's mental health, how it is affecting when you have a child with autism. And the whole intention of coming up with this criteria based study, that if we know what specifically gets affected, we can actually come to a conclusion or at least a open ended question that what can be done to give them little more ideas how they can manage this child at home. Hypothetically, as we know that we have a time management issue. If you have a child who is regular and a child with ASD, many mothers, they do not know, they get overwhelmed about it, then anxiety is really increasing. So we are now trying to give them what is a time management plan, how can you cope up with this, what can be done, what to ignore sometimes in children with autism, because if you want to really become goddess Durga and try to take care of everything, it's going to really affect their mental health more and more.
True. I mean, recently we did the event also for Mother's Mental Health,
Yes.
Project Rashmi, Dr. Nitya's project. And also, last year or the year before last, we published a scale to measure mothers' stress if they have a child with special needs. I will be very happy to share the scale with you. It's specially designed to measure their stress levels if they have a child with special needs. So recently we have launched on our Ananya website www.asap.org.in. There's a research tab. If you click on that, it'll give you access to the latest research that has happened in child development in the last 1 month, the most research, cutting edge research. So you can click on those links and go to those websites which give you access to those papers if they are free. If not, you might have to do other things like purchase or ask somebody to help you get the papers for you. So it gives you access. A lot of parents don't have access to research. They end up reading blogs, vlogs, YouTube videos posted by random people which are not really supported by any research evidence. So I think that is one initiative which we took up. I said now we should give them access to latest research. Just go there, search for it. If you just type keywords, it gives you in last 30 days what is published in the world on autism or any other special needs for that matter. It will give you. How can parents get involved in research and how can they share their experiences and insights to help improve support services?
That's a wonderful question, Madhvi ma'am. The main thing is it's not that parent is not participating, it's about their willingness. What we see that, when any researcher comes and approaches our institute that, okay, can we have the access to parents to do the data collection? Somehow I feel that parents are very hesitant to talk to them. I want to make an appeal through your podcast that please, dear parents, share your data. It's not that your child's name will come anywhere. No, it's not going to. Confidentiality in the research is a very big ethics and we all follow that. But your sharing can definitely open new pathways and open the whole field for new possibilities. So research is the only thing. I think about 5 years back, Dr. Pramod from Fernandez Hospital said one thing, that someone has to sacrifice their whole life to do the research about autism because this is one sector where no medicine has come and only behavioral methods are proven. So until the research is not done, nobody would be able to come up with treatment modules or management modules.
Yes, I think research is the only way forward, and we as parents, if we support researchers, share our knowledge or information or whatever that they are trying to find out, and if it's about parents or mothers, especially, I would request all the mothers to go all out and share information, because without we sharing information with researchers, we are not going to get support. The basic support that we can do is answer the questions, fill their questionnaires. I think that's the need of the hour for us.
Absolutely, absolutely right.
So, Dr. Pooja, thank you so much for sharing your inspiring story and the incredible work you do at Total Solutions. You are a testament to the power of perseverance and transformative impact of holistic support. To learn more about the work of Total Solutions Rehabilitation Society and the services they provide in Hyderabad, visit their website at www.totalsolutionforlearning.com or contact them at 91 88860 08697. At Ananya Child Development Center, we share that same passion for empowering children and families. We offer a range of services for developmental assessments to specialized therapies, all focused on helping children with developmental delays thrive. If you are in Hyderabad area and searching for support, please visit our website at asap.org.in or give us a call at +91 98485 We are here to guide you every step of the way. Dr. Pooja's journey is a call to action. It challenges us to look beyond labels, to embrace differences, and to create a world where every child, regardless of their challenges, has the opportunity to reach their full potential. It's a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference, to build a more inclusive and compassionate society, one child, one family at a time. Thank you for listening.